Hello friends and welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're going to talk about how you can make the most of your graduate scheme. Now this is going to be more aimed at people who are doing surveying, but it doesn't matter what you do, because essentially what I'm going to talk through here can be applied to no matter what job, no matter what industry you're in. You can use what I'm going to talk you through to just make the most of what you're doing, so you can excel up the career ladder and hopefully make a ton of more money than what you're making now. Okay, so I made a list and we're going to go through it chronologically in terms of what I think is most important. Okay, so let's jump right in. Grad schemes, what are they? Essentially, what they are is schemes put on by your employer to give you hands-on experience in the business that you're working, and the idea is to get you to do lots of different things so you can get a good idea of how the business works, and you can also work out what direction you want to go with your particular career. So they're great things if you're on the right one. So let's jump in. Stick around to the end, because I'm actually going to give you the more important ones later on, but there's one thing which I think a lot of people are forgetting, and I'm going to touch on that in a big way at the end. Firstly, I think the most important thing when you're starting these grad schemes, no matter where you are, is to remove all of the friction, and unfortunately some of this you might have to pay for yourself. So this might sound a little bit silly, but for me, I found that getting myself a better keyboard, a better mouse, some noise cancelling headphones, these things, and a few other things, just makes my day just a little bit more ergonomic. I can type quicker, I can move my mouse in such a way that it's easier to navigate Excel spreadsheets, all that kind of stuff. And over the period of a day, I find that just by having a slightly more comfortable mouse, my hand hurts a bit less. I can do a bit quicker typing, all that kind of stuff. It all compounds into just being able to be more productive and just have a better work day. I'm also quite into these air blocking glasses. It stops me getting really dry eyes when you're in aircon all day. Okay, so let's jump on to the important things. Find the right place to do your graduate scheme. I have friends who have gone to places like in the major cities who just do one thing. I've got mates who just do dilapidation surveys, and the problem with that is, yeah, you become amazing at that one thing, but you have no idea about all the other industries, all the other sectors that you could be involved in, like design, specification, expert witness, surveys of various types. And I think the real problem with this is not just the fact that you're not getting exposed to all the other areas, and also getting the more well-rounded knowledge to be able to further your career, but actually it stops you from finding out what you really want to do. For example, when I first started doing this job, for those who don't know, I'm a chartered surveyor, I'm a director, and I thought originally I wanted to do residential surveys. Turns out, actually, I didn't really enjoy them that much. I thought I didn't like project management and the commercial building, expert witness side of things. Actually, it turns out I really enjoy it, and it's actually the thing I'm a little bit better at. So what I'm trying to say is find the thing that's going to give you a breadth of experience and a company that wants you to try all the different things, because it pays dividends, because you can just find the thing you really want to do, and also on that process you can become really well-rounded. And it's really important I think, to become a generalist at the beginning, because you can lean on all these other areas of expertise to become an expert in one thing down the line, and that's how you get the big bucks. Okay, so the second thing is find the right mentors. Now, it's actually quite hard to go to a company where people really want to put the time into you sometimes, and that really sucks, because mentors are sort of like not just the gatekeepers, but I think they're essentially the accelerators for your career. Because in the thing that we're doing, surveying, but it might be, I don't know, graphic design, law, doctor, whatever, when you're with people who can just say X, Y, Z, this is how you do the thing, this is the things I've learned in the past, this is the way to do the job better, you just give yourself that leg up on how to do the thing. And it's great because it just accelerates your career. And what I find is that from doing a master's degree to actually doing the job on a day-to-day basis, it's completely different and prepares you, but it sort of doesn't prepare you. And actually having somebody breaking you in and giving you that leg up is critical. And I think if you can't find a good mentor where you end up, it's almost worth leaving to find somewhere that's actually got those good mentors in place, who want to put in the time, who are happy to put in the effort to better your career. Because I know I had really good mentors, and I would like to pass it on to other people, because it's just that important. So, breadth of experience. Now, I've already touched on this one, but what I want to talk about, why I think this is really, really important, is because it gives you the opportunity to run the business. Now, that's down the line for a lot of people, but it also could be not so down the line if you want to do your own thing. But why I think it's important to think about is, think about MBA students, Masters of Business Administration. Those kind of students, they're set up to some extent to run businesses because, you know, they're doing business obviously. But what happens is companies will hire MBA students. They'll get them to come into their firm. They'll then get them to work in all the different kind of sectors of that company, because that way they can understand the nuts and bolts, the nitty gritty of all the things of that company. So when they become the person who's going to be running it down the line, they know how everything works and they have experience in all those areas. They know what they're talking about. And I think that's really, really important. Breadth of experience is so critical no matter where you are in your career. So the next thing is, don't be afraid to leave. If you're somewhere that's not giving you enough experience, I don't know, maybe they want you to work ridiculous hours, maybe it's just not that fun, just leave, because there's so much opportunity to find other jobs, better roles, even if it pays less, just to get that better experience. I'd recommend just shopping around to try and find the thing that really suits you, that you're going to benefit from. And at the end of the day, if you're not enjoying it and you're not benefiting from it, the company who's employing you is probably not going to be good for them anyway. So do what's right for everybody, move on and find the thing that is going to work for you. So don't be afraid to leave. Okay, the next thing is going to be learning industry trends. Now, you can essentially do this by just going on the RSCS website or whatever thing that you do. Just go on the, I don't know, maybe it's medicine, maybe it's the National Institute of Clinical Excellence or whatever. Go on those websites because there'll be sections that tell you what's going on, what's the trends, what's the hot topics. Finding out those things is really, really important. I remember my first interview. I remember I still am, but I was very much on top of what's going on in the industry. And I remember dropping in a few hot topic bombs. And I remember getting one of my job offers was, I think the offer was like 10K over what I originally thought I was going to get. And the reason is the guy said, look, you seem like you're really on top of what's going on, and I want to give you a little bit extra to kind of get you through the door. So I think it's really worth doing if you're going for a job or if you're in a job. So another little hack, which is really useful to finding out what's going on in the industry, is to find out the related terms of what people are searching. So you can do this by downloading a thing called Keywords Everywhere. I'll put a link below. This is probably one of the best £10. I think it's like 10. It works out to be about £10 every half a year, so it's basically nothing. But it's one of the best things. Basically, what it is it will show you how many people are Googling for a basic term, and then it also tells you what other related terms people are searching. Now, it's actually meant for search engine optimization and gearing up blog articles and websites, but you can actually use it for your own personal knowledge and commercial awareness. So let's Google fire cladding at the moment. So it's got a few things here that aren't really that relevant for us at the moment, but you can then look at what people also search for. So the related terms are Grenfell, I mean, it's almost obvious, Grenfell inquiry, fire resistant cladding external, polythene cladding, what is combustible cladding, is Kingspan fireproof. And I think what's really good about this is if you're becoming an expert in a particular thing, you want to be able to answer questions from the general public, because they're going to fire questions at you that you may not actually know. It sort of gears you up for those questions. But this is awesome. I recommend everybody get it. Okay, so next is to expand your professional network. And I think what's really, really good about this is it sort of paves the way for opportunities in the future. And it's also a great way to get new work, because you go to an industry event, you might meet a managing agent, you might meet, I don't know, a government representative who might want some work. And I think it's really, really important to kind of work on your professional network, your client base, as soon as possible, because you'd be surprised that in, I don't know, a couple of years down the line, you might meet that person again that you met a couple of years back and just say, oh, hey, how's it going? I'm still doing this thing. Yeah, cool. Do you want to catch up for another coffee? And it's those little things, those tiny little relationships that sort of organically grow into other things. I did a video on it was the marketing strategy for building surveying, and I'm going to put a link up here, and it talked about the different type of clients that you can get. There's some really interesting concepts in that video that you can apply to expanding your professional network. You don't need hundreds of clients, you don't need thousands of connections, you just need the right ones who represent the right people. This is probably one of my favorite things, and that is this guy. A moleskin notebook, which can just go in my pocket. I don't need to do that. But what's great about this is it comes to every meeting, it goes everywhere I go. It comes with me basically 24 hours of the day. No, really, it actually does. This is how I like to do it. So I always put the date at the top and all my stuff's in there. Always a few blank pages. Whoops. What I'd put here, critical tasks. So it would be like 1, 2 things that I need to do today. And normally what I do is I allocate time. So like 2 hours, 1 hour, whatever to do. I don't know, various things. Now, I normally find that these are the priority ones for me, but I will flow over here into other things that will come up through the day. So for example, I normally like to put this as reactive. So say I've had a call earlier about a scaffold problem. So I'll put that there. I've got to follow that up. And tender query came up earlier as well. So I put that down there. And then what I like to do is just put stars next to them, because that's me telling me it's a personal thing that I have to deal with that before I leave the office. Now, the next thing is something called further reading. Now, this is really important for somebody who's essentially becoming an expert in the thing you want to do, because you need to learn so much, especially in your first couple of years. What I like to do with further reading, and this is great if you're in the APC stage or any training program to that extent actually, is throughout the day. Even now, I come across things I just don't know about, so I'll write them down here, and I'll just put something like polyethylene versus polyurethane. Listed building alterations. I see that in Jersey there was a change to that with regard to grade 4 and grade 3, something else. There's always things that come up. So what I always do is that in the evenings or at lunch or whenever, I just do 10-15 minutes on each item, just checking it up and becoming a little expert on that particular thing. And then personal, I'll do things like, I gotta buy some supplements, and these will come up through the day, etc. Will be just things that are in my head that I want to move onto paper, so then I can become essentially more present in the day. And then I actually have a different one here called bedtime. Now, this is a really good strategy. Put this back over here now, because I think I've made my point. When you come to the end of the day, if you're like me, your mind is probably racing, maybe a little bit stressed about various things that you have on. What I like to do, get to bed, actively think, or if it's maybe half an hour before bed, even better, actively think about the things that are really playing on your mind. And what I find best is that if I just write them down, it makes me stop thinking about them, because I think when there's things that are urgent and I'm a little bit stressed about, I think, oh God, I don't want to forget about that thing, so I'm going to think about it more. And I just find putting it onto paper sort of transfers it from my brain as something I've got to remember to something that's here, that I'm going to wake up tomorrow and deal with it when I start work. That's really great. And this is like half of it. This is my moleskins for the last 2 years. I basically do 4 or 5 a year. They're great. They're only £10, link below. So yeah. Okay. The next thing is absolutely critical, and I think everybody forgets about it when it comes to doing their job, and that is your health. Because if you're not sleeping well, if you're not healthy, if you don't have energy, doing like graduate programs is going to become so much harder. It's crazy. I feel like all my friends, and me to some extent, I regret it. When you're doing these things, you work long hours and then you got to come home and study and do the thing. And I think it's really toxic that employers think that graduates are people they can just work really, really hard because they're billing you out for a good amount of money, but they're paying you barely nothing. So it's the time to sort of make as much money from them as possible. I think that's a load of bollocks. What you really need to be doing is sleeping well, eating well, and prioritizing your health. Sorry to say it, but over your graduate program. Okay, guys, I think I've made my points. If you have any comments, please drop them below and I'll come back to you. And if you have another video that you'd like me to make, you might think I have some experience that I can share with you, drop that below as well, and I'll come back to you in a video. So cheers guys, and I'll see you in the next one.